Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Dragon Ball Nation. Now today I will be doing a video on Dragon Ball Super and does the series suck? Kind of discussing the quality of the series. Is it disappointing? We're going to be covering a lot of aspects of the show. The prior two arcs we've had with the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F arc, as well as the manga and the current Universe 6 arc. And has the series been delivering? And joining me, I have Quaman's Land, Mike from Laughingstock Media, Super Jane, and the Comic Corner. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Bye guys, what's down? Mike from Laughingstock Media.
Thanks for having me on the channel, dude. Thanks for having me.
No
Super
problem.
Jane here from Space Australia.
One person showed some very nice appreciation, but I'm kind of going to give a little bit of my quick thoughts, and then I want to give it to Quaman, who I hope is very ready to continue the discussion, and then we'll bring it full circle back to me, and then we'll all kind of do our collective thoughts. But kind of, I want to really look at the manga. The manga is very well received. This past one I know a lot of people don't really like because a lot of differences. Or not differences, it's just not really anything new in this new manga chapter. But the manga, for the most part, has been very well received. Even though it's really just a promotional thing for the anime, we know that these last two arcs that we had, the Battle of Gods and Resurrection F stuff, it's kind of been poorly received here and there. A lot of people like certain portions, but a lot of people are very negative on it because of the repetition, because it's just retelling the movies essentially with new stuff, and a lot of the new stuff is good. But for me, this series really did start. I know a lot of people, this is probably the same for. The series really does start with this latest Universe 6 arc. This is all the new stuff we've gotten in the Dragon Ball universe. This is where all the new stuff starts and where it's really, the story gets really juicy with this rich new world. And I think the jump in quality compared to the last two arcs has been very great. And I honestly haven't had any problems with this new arc so far. But Quaman, do you think this show is, number one, bad, which I don't think any of us really think it's bad, number two, disappointing, and what are your general thoughts and analysis on the show so far?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of on the boat with you about the whole movie thing, because in my opinion, I've always told people, and I was talking to Mike from Crying Stock Media about this, because I've always felt that you can't necessarily make a whole show and have the first 28 episodes, being something that you could completely ignore and just say, I'll just watch the movies, because that's too many episodes. That's almost half of GT.
Right, it's still a part of the series. That's the thing. Even though, not to cut you off, even though I think that Super truly does start at this most recent saga, those arcs are still a part of the series. They're going to be released. They're officially a part of this series, and they do affect the quality. You have to look at them. But please continue.
Well, I was just going to say also that I just feel like, Super's made all their blunders too. I mean, the animation thing, that's one element. But, really, I just feel like it's too much to have somebody wait 6 months for new content. And then when you do, you have, a manga chapter that comes out once a month. You either are going to be spoiled completely everything about what you know is going to happen in Super. For the first parts of the manga chapter, they were just basically retelling Battle of Gods and Dragon Ball Super. Now, when finally we get the new content, it's okay, well, now the manga can go and add more, but now the anime's actually surpassed the manga, and it feels like the manga's completely useless in all opinions. It's not your typical shonen manga where, you get one a week and then they animate it and then, it goes at a consistent pattern. It's just going up and down, and I think it's too inconsistent with everything else, to be honest.
Right, I agree completely. Yeah, a lot of what you said, the manga is, since we are not really, the manga is not skipping ahead of the anime, it seems at all. I don't see how it's going to skip forward. It's covering the new content just as much, and it does seem to just be irrelevant at this point. And again, that stuff, the last two sagas we've had, they didn't need to be there, but they are still a part of this series, and they need to be taken into account when you're talking about the quality of the show. But I mean, you don't think the show's bad at all, do you?
I mean, I think it is below average, but one thing I always want to say, and I could use a sports reference here, it's kind of when LeBron and Chris Bosh came to the Miami Heat in 2013. There's so much hype for it that it's very, very, very hard for Dragon Ball Super to live up to that holy crap, Dragon Ball's back hype that everybody had a few months ago, and it's definitely not lived up to those standards, but I don't think it's complete utter garbage like some people.
I think calling it bad, like just to a certain level, just saying it's an absolutely bad series is a little crazy in my opinion. Obviously everyone's entitled to their opinion, but Super Jane, why don't you go ahead and give us your thoughts on it, overall?
Yeah, I think the series overall so far has been a bit lackluster in parts. There has been times where Super has surpassed the two movies that it's been retelling, but there's been times where the movies have absolutely obliterated the series in terms of quality, whether it be it's for a number of reasons. Obviously, the movies had a bigger budget, so they look better. Some of the scenes just play out better. Like, you can't really beat the movie having 1,000 soldiers versus the Z-Fighters, because that was amazing in the movie, and they were never going to beat that in the TV series. And it's like Juan said, some of these arcs, they should have spent more time on just the characters themselves and not so much about the fighting, because they don't have the money to pour into Super and the time that they had with the movies. So I feel like Super in parts is just really not hitting the mark, and even now this tournament that they're in just feels really, really rushed. And for me personally, I prefer Toyotaro's manga, because for the most part his manga seems to, and a lot of people say this, it gets Toriyama's style of writing a bit better. It just seems to, in a weird way, at times the pacing of the manga seems to be better than the pacing of the Super anime, which is a really strange thing to say. And just the little things that Super hasn't done right that have really irked me. And I actually did a video, I'll just go ahead and plug myself here. I did a video like 5 things that the Super manga has done better. I probably could have done 10 things the Super manga has done better. There's just been a number of things throughout Super that I feel have been rushed, whether it be the Battle of Gods arc for me was pretty good. I mean, some people say it was a bit slow. I thought it was pretty good. The Resurrection of F arc started off strong, and then as soon as Frieza showed up, it was rushed as hell. And then we had a couple of good episodes in between the Resurrection of F and the Champa arcs that were good, and now it just seems rushed as hell, because we're getting like 2 fights in each episode, which is crazy. Like, we never got that back in Dragon Ball and Z, so it's just evident how rushed this show is. And it really begs the question on how much longer Super's going to go for, because if they're trying to rush this arc so quickly, they've either got a lot of content coming out after the arc that they want to get into, or they're trying to wrap the series up at around 48 to 52 episodes. And really, if that is the case, I would be disappointed, because in my opinion, if Super ends in the next, 18 or so episodes, it's going to be, in my opinion, probably the worst Dragon Ball series to date, just in terms of not necessarily the concepts and the ideas that have gone into it. It's got some great ideas and concepts, but the execution of this anime series has just been downright poor at times, and I don't see the Blu-ray releases fixing so many of these problems, because they only, episode 5 they fixed on the Blu-ray, but even still they only fixed the still animations. They didn't fix the key animations. They fixed the key animations, but they didn't fix any of the movements and whatnot. They didn't redraw any of the scenes. So this will be the worst looking anime series that we've had for a Dragon Ball series, and it'll also be the most rushed in my opinion. So the quality has been quite lackluster, to be fair, and that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, this show has like amazing concepts. Like this new stuff that, has been coming out with this Universe 6 arc. I'm loving almost everything, and I agree, it's being rushed. As of now, it really is being rushed. The manga, I think, was kind of making it seem like they were going to be a bit longer. I was very surprised when I saw how fast the anime was covering the stuff we saw in the manga for this arc, but I agree with you there, and it is a little bit unsettling to think that this show might end a little bit earlier than we would want. We're not sure yet, but there's some signs.
There's some great drawn scenes in Super. Like, it does look fantastic at times, but it's not consistent enough. And like, if I had to put a random number on it, I'd say like 30 to 40% of the show looks good, and the other 60% of the time it just looks like arse water, to be fair. And I know I'm probably going to get slammed for that, but like, let's be real, guys. Like, look at what they've done in the past and what they could do. And Dragon Ball's never had amazing animation, but it's always been more consistent than what it's been in Super.
Yep. I'm leaving that far in, by the way, Quinn. But I agree with you. And I don't want anyone to think in this that we're just bashing the animation or anything, because it's a clear problem when you talk about animation in a show. It's an example of the quality, and it has an effect on your enjoyment. If it doesn't, more power to you. But a lot of us do have to look at the animation for some of, it affects our enjoyment, and that's something that you have to look at. Clayton, aka Comic Corner, why don't you say your piece?
Well, you guys remember back when we used to watch Toonami, and they would pretty much just say last time on Dragon Ball Z.
Absolutely.
It's kind of been like that for 6 months. And I remember people were just bashing on Dragon Ball Super early on because they were retelling the first 2 movies, and there were people saying, "Hey, it's better than nothing," but is it? I mean, would you rather it have just started at this arc? Because that's where it's really started for
Exactly.
me.
Like, it's the true beginning.
I really paid minimal attention to Dragon Ball Super until this arc. When I heard this was starting, I went back and watched it just to see. I didn't feel like there was much really changed from the movies. Nothing too drastic. It kind of bored me.
Yeah.
The animation on episode 5, was it?
Yep, that was the episode.
Sure, it was bad. It was laughably bad, actually. But honestly, that was the highlight for me. That was it. I didn't care about Frieza coming back. I saw it before, and it didn't do anything to really get you hyped up to see this again. Like, if you're going to recap 2 movies, at least try to make it a little bit more intense. Something, just something. You just can't retell almost the exact same thing.
Well, Duct Tape, I'm pretty sure you liked the part where Piccolo got killed, right?
Well, we all love that,
I
especially
love
you.
that. I love that. I mean, Tagoma, I laughed at. I have that as my.
But in all seriousness, stuff like changes like that, which are somewhat major. Even though we know Piccolo's gonna be coming back, everyone's gonna be fine. I love it when they did drastically change certain points of those arcs, especially with like a lot of the fights in Resurrection F. It was amazing, and then like Jay said, when Frieza comes out, it kind of went downhill, and Vegeta did get an amazing fight with Frieza and Super. I think the way he beat him down was fantastic.
Yeah, episode 27 was one of the rare parts where Super surpassed the year, and not for that reason. Like the whole showing the Earth blowing up and what everyone was doing and how it affected the lives of everyone.
That was a fantastic scene. Yeah,
it was more emotional for the audience. So they do some things better, but they just don't do most things better, which is unfortunate.
Right. Clayton, did you have anything else to say?
Not really. I think I covered just about everything.
All right, now Mike, you're the last one up. What do you guys say?
Are you still there? Then you must really be a fan of Mike from Laughing Stock Media.
Well, they're here for me.
They sure ain't. They saw my name on the billing. But no, I like I like Super overall, to be perfectly honest. If the movies did not exist, I don't think that we would have a lot of the issues we did have with the first 2 arcs, even though, like, I'm not going to say that they're great or anything. I do feel like there's a lot of stuff that they did in the first 2 arcs that were pretty good, that actually in certain like elements were better than the movie. Like the fight between Goku and Beerus was better than the movie was. Like Jay just said, the planet being destroyed was better than the movie. There's like different elements that certainly surpassed it, so it's definitely give and take. But the overall nature of the first 2 like arcs makes them pointless because of the fact that we've already seen them, so we already know what's going to happen, and we're already just kind of like get to the next stuff, And then we actually see the manga happening because they skipped over Resurrection F in the manga because Toyotaro had already done it. So we're seeing all this new stuff happening while we're watching Resurrection F, which makes Resurrection F seem that much worse because of the fact that, like, we're just like, all right, get past this crap already. Let's see all this new stuff in the animation. But when they got to the new stuff, I like the new stuff. Like, I don't really have much issues with the new stuff. Now, am I going to say that it has rivaled the quality of Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z yet? No. But I still enjoy it. I'm enjoying all the new stuff they're introducing. I'm just hoping that what we're seeing right now is going to turn into a much bigger, thing. I hope that it's not just like it comes down to Goku versus Hit. Goku beats Hit. Everything's saved, and then they flash forward 5 years, and then Goku is meeting Oob at the World Tournament. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that there's something else that happens, unless they're going to go past that. You know what I mean? Like, they could do an arc, like, around the time before Oob shows up, you know, that Bulma's just not involved in. You know what I mean? Like, there's still a lot of potential, and I always felt that there's no reason why Toriyama would say 12 universes as opposed to just like an alternate universe, unless he was going to have them go to at least 6 of them, because like he has an out to where like 6 of those universes are just doubles of the other ones, so that they could just go to 6 because the other ones don't really matter that much in that kind of, you know, way of thinking. But at the end of the day, like, I just feel like there's much more stuff to come, and I feel like the potential there certainly makes me enjoy Super more than I did, say, for the first 2 arcs.
Yeah, I and you mentioned a good thing with the whole universe, is because I know you said, you know, it would make sense for them to go to at least 6, but even like just one other universe, because, you know, these are basically, you know, as I think we says, basically twin universes. I mean, just imagine what kind of stuff we're gonna see with a completely different universe, you know, because
Exactly.
I remember Toriyama, you know, when this series was coming up, he said he was working on so many designs from like, the new universe and whatever. And I feel like, you know, we've seen new designs, there's new characters, but there's a little bit more behind the curtain, I feel like. But
Yeah.
again, like Jay mentioned, they're rushing this arc big time, and it's a little bit scary. I don't think Super's gonna end too soon.
I mean, it's
I
possible
really
that they're not rushing the arc, though. It's possible that this is just like the first part of the Buu saga,
Right.
where it's like going really quick in the tournament. And it's like, oh shit, you know, we already have Goku versus Vegeta in the first round, and that doesn't even happen because there's a big event that happens that is like, oh yeah, this tournament doesn't really matter. So like, I just feel like there's
Yeah, you could
something
be
big
right.
that's gonna happen. Like, it would just be like, I feel like there was this whole idea out there that someone had said that Toriyama handed Toei like 10 years worth of material, like in like a gigantic, like, thick binder. So like, how are they gonna rush through 10 years of material? You know what I mean? That's still gonna take forever. It's still gonna have a long series, so it doesn't make any sense that they wouldn't just outright cancel the show, like, and stop making episodes, unless, you know, rather than continue to make episodes.
Yeah.
If he
I
gave
mean,
them that much stuff.
It's also quality, not quantity, you know what I mean? So I just wish they would be a bit more careful with the stuff that they have given us. And the thing is, they're under serious time constraints over there, unfortunately, and that's what leads to the lack of quality. But yeah, I certainly hope it's not being rushed.
They need to do what they do in the United States and what they're doing with like One Punch Man right now, where they just do seasons. Like, they spend months working on these episodes, like a certain set number of episodes, and then they put them out like once a year. They don't, you know, do it every single week, because like, I don't understand why, but the anime community seems to be obsessed with instant gratification. We need an episode now. Like, we wait for all these other great shows like every single year in the United States. Like, we wait for all these shows.
Later. You're not gonna want to go
Yeah.
back to some of this stuff.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, people don't understand that now is not the best thing. Like, we waited over a decade for more Dragon Ball, you know, to come in the United States, even the United States, and they waited much longer in Japan. What's wrong with waiting? Because once you already have everything, you could just go back and watch it as many times as you want, and it's going to be great, you know, because a lot of this stuff, it's not going to have as much rewatch value as something that you would have waited for.
Star Wars, right, Mike? That's a great example, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we hadn't seen a Star Wars movie since the 1980s, so yeah.
But Mike, did you have anything else you wanted to add there, or was that about it?
Broly sucks.
I'll just add.
I second that.
I'd like to add. I third that. I'd just like to add one thing as well. Is that a lot of people?
Sure.
I'll echo the sentiments of a lot of people that would love to see a third movie. You know, and I think Mike agrees with me on this. You know, I would personally love to see a third movie that covers the events of the Champa arc. If this series comes to a speedy conclusion and ends quickly, I'd love to see a retelling in a movie way where they give us everyone an international release with a movie with fantastic animations. They prolong the fights, like make the fight with like Goku versus Frost longer for a movie. Make like a 2 to 3 hour Dragon Ball movie. That would be great.
They should just
I think that sounds
continue the
good to me.
series again as movies like they were doing with the first two movies. Like, we'd have to wait a year, but as long as they make the movies a little bit longer and make them tie into each other like episodes were, like if you look at movies to where, I mean, they would have to be a little bit different to get people to actually enjoy them more in the cinematic format. But if you made movies like, say, you make them like 2.5 hours to 3 hours long, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be 3 hours because, like, I know that most people, unlike me, don't like want to see a 3-hour movie, but I mean, we marathon these series, so I don't know. And then you have them tie into each other, like the next movie is like the beginning of the next episode or something like that. But each thing has like a little, it's like a trilogy for each arc or a quadrilogy, whatever it needs. People wouldn't mind. Like, people wait and they see these series and sequels in movie theaters all the time. As long as you put out a new one every year, no one's going to care. And
It would actually be good because
there'd
there'd be more
general.
hype. There'd be more
Yeah.
hype for each one too. I think it would actually
People
financially might
loved
even
going
pay
to
off
see
better.
Resurrection F. Yeah, I mean, people love going to see Resurrection F, and the movies are going to make Toei more money anyway. Because first off, they're spending less money than they would on a series in each individual movie, of course, but they're still going to look better because it's, you know, less time with more time given to it to actually, you know, actually develop it. And then they're gonna make money on box office around the world, then Blu-rays, and then, you know, merchandise on top of that. So they're bound to make way more money than they normally would on a series, which for the most part, series in Japan are mostly just like advertisements for, you know, Blu-rays and merchandise, which, you know, nobody's paying money to see, you know, Dragon Ball Super on TV.
Right. Well, I guess the final thing I was going to touch upon, but you guys, you and Jay kind of already just touched upon it. But if you want to add anything else, you can. I know or Quinn, I should say, and Clayton
Touched it
over
too
there
much.
didn't really talk too much about it, but I want to talk about what do you guys think would have really helped improve the quality of the show prior and moving forward? Because honestly, I think we can all agree that the movie sagas, even though they were enjoyable in parts, they didn't need to be there whatsoever. There was zero reason for them. Everyone saw the movies already. But Kwame, what would you have done to change the prior stuff in this series to improve the quality, and what do you think they can do in the future to improve quality?
Well,
Aside
I mean,
from animation, because that's obvious.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, what I really think they need to do is I think that they actually have to have a set manga in place. I think that's the number one thing, because when you have a set manga in place, that method works because people have a lot more interest in not just watching the show, but they have interest in watching the manga weekly. And then it adds more excitement towards the series when you see the manga, and then you say to yourself, oh, cool, how are they going to do it in the anime? And it gives us a lot more to talk about. You know, then we could do manga and anime differences. But other than that, I think what Super also needs to do, and I'm not being biased here, I think it just needs to really improve on utilizing, you know, more characters. And I'm not just using Piccolo here, I'm just saying people in general, because I've said this before, like Digimon Season 3, or was it Season 4, the one where the humans could become the Digimon, that season was predicated a lot on just Koji and Takuya, and it's like, when Goku and Vegeta are just so much stronger than everybody else, it kind of just makes it feel like, you know, it's just their show, kind of like Dragon Ball Goku's time. So, you know, I just feel like the character usage, making a better manga, and obviously the animation are key things that they can do. And I wish Toriyama, we knew more about his involvement in the series.
Right, as I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think the manga, like a more consistent manga adaptation, would really have helped build up excitement for each episode.
Hey, Kwame. What if Piccolo became the main character inside Dragon Ball Super? Would you give it an A+ then?
Yes.
He wouldn't care about the quality as long as Piccolo main character.
Of course.
But Jay, Clay, Mike, you guys have anything you want to talk about the improvements? I know Clay and you didn't really talk too
There's
much
a great
about it.
improvement that Broly's not in it.
If you have anything else to add.
I would say that they do need a consistent manga, because thinking about it now, that's kind of why One Punch Man was such a hit for me, because I saw how intense the fights look on paper, and I couldn't help but wonder how they would just make it look as good in the anime, and I loved it. I really loved it. And the other problem I have is the Dragon Balls. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but when Piccolo died, right? I heard that. But when Piccolo died, I just felt
Piccolo!
like,
That was an impression of Quinn when he saw Piccolo die.
yeah, I know. But I just
Fuck you.
I just feel that his sacrifice was just boring. I mean, didn't Goku just come out and he's like, yeah, we can just bring him back.
Well, I mean, that's something you kind of have to understand with the series, though, because it's not like they can, with a main character like Piccolo, we've seen in, at the 10-year gap, it's not like they can just do away with him, and I think that's something that, it doesn't really bother me personally. It's something I know is going to happen. I think the real thing that kind of wasted that whole scene with Piccolo was that, Gohan, the whole thing about Gohan powering up didn't really mean anything, but it did make him want to train, which was interesting, but we haven't seen the events of what that's going to happen. What's going to happen with that, him training and stuff. But I think they're building up something with Gohan, but it's interesting. But I agree with, again, the manga thing's very important, and we need to see better animation. And, I mean, I don't have any problems with the new story. The story is perfectly fine with me. I'm very intrigued on Hit, especially. I'll see stuff on Kaba, but we're going to see that in, future episodes, obviously. But I think all this new information is very good, all this new story stuff. But any other final thoughts, guys?
Bro,
I know we rambled here for about a good half hour or so.
What if Broly returns inside Dragon Ball Super?
I delete
what
my
if
channel.
Super do deepest, darkest secret of Broly? Outside, offside, Super, GT.
Well, I think that's
Super Saiyan 4 Broly.
I think that's
Confirmed.
pretty much it for this video, guys. I'd like to thank everyone here for joining me here, and the people that stuck around for this almost 30-minute video. Very appreciative of that. And let me know what you guys think of the overall quality of the show, Dragon Ball Super. What you think can improve it, what you would have done to improve the show, and do you honestly think like the show sucks? Do you think it's lackluster? What's your enjoyment level? I don't know if anyone here can give it a score out of 10 if they want to. You can do out of 5 if you want. I would probably give it like a solid 7. Overall,
Yeah. I'll give it a 6.
I think that's a fair one. 6, around average, right? Somewhere around there. Depending
Yeah.
on how we do our skills.
Yeah, I'd give it a 6 too.
Probably.
I'd give it a 5.
Wow.
That's
Well,
because Piccolo hasn't
we know
killed
who's gonna
anyone
get the
yet.
hate comments.
No,
now.
I mean, no. Well, I said I think it's below average, so I mean,
Well, that's
5 would
fair, I
have to
guess,
be
yeah.
below
I
average.
Would it
right?
be a
Actually-
10 if Piccolo
actually, I give it a
killed
5 too.
Frost?
It'd probably be a 6.
Actually, I agree with Quinn. I give it a 5. Piccolo survived.
Yep,
They
but
brought
no,
Piccolo's
5. We got.
They brought Piccolo's weak ass back from hell, where he belongs.
Oh, jeez. Yep, but we got 2 5s, 2 6s, and a 7. What do you guys think of the show? Got a grade down below? Let me know in the comment sections down below. But other than that, please check out Quaman's Land, Super Jaiyan, Comment Corner, and Mike from Laughing Stock Media's channels down below. We all make great content. Any final thoughts, guys, or anything? For
Are
the,
you still
fans?
there? Then you must
Quinn, you
really
have
be
any
a
guess?
big fan of my muscles.
Quinn, you don't have any gaseous
Vegeta's
movements?
I'm just gonna say Vegeta's a god and Piccolo's not. That's all I'm gonna say.
I have a question for you, Josh. How are you gonna edit
Thank
this
you,
video?
Jay.
I'm probably gonna leave all the shit you spewed in.
No. I mean, like, what type of editing are you gonna do? Are you gonna use several pictures or the almighty one?
I'm gonna try.
0.
I'm gonna try.
By try, you mean at least 2.
I'll have music in. Sayonara, people.
Come on, bro.
Sayonara.